Welcome back to the Deep Dive, the only place where we transform these massive, intimidating stacks of financial research into powerful, actionable knowledge. If you've ever felt that gut-clenching stress when you look at your bank balance, or maybe you avoid checking your credit score because you're just scared of what you'll find,
Yeah.
this deep dive is specifically for you.
Today, we are absolutely moving beyond just worrying about money.
Yeah.
Our goal is, well, it's financial mastery.
Financial mastery, I like that.
And we define that as building a fortress around your wealth, what we're calling the financial shield.
A financial shield, okay.
We're not here to judge any past mistakes.
Yeah.
We're here to equip you with the insights you need to prevent the future ones.
Exactly. This is your comprehensive operational guide, and we're pulling together the best strategies from some incredibly varied sources.
We really are.
I mean, we're looking at everything from the tiny everyday habits that can sink your budget to the massive multi-billion-dollar predatory threats that are, lurking out there in the lending world. It's a huge range.
Our mission today is surgical. We are extracting the most crucial, the most immediate, and the most actionable knowledge.
Okay, so what does that mean in practice?
That means diving into deep research on the most common bad money habits, quantifying the truly terrifying mental and physical toll of financial stress.
Which is so important.
It is. Then we're dissecting the risks posed by predatory lenders,
Mm-hmm.
analyzing academic findings on who really files for bankruptcy, and finally, exploring proactive, long-term solutions for retirement.
We want to strip away all the jargon and, the overwhelm so that you can approach these complex financial situations with absolute clarity. And most importantly, with confidence. So let's look at the sources we cracked open. We analyze consumer behavior from Experian.
Right, and the physiological cost of stress from Immunized Nevada.
Then we have the stark financial crime data from the Coalition for Responsible Lending.
And we get academic with a highly detailed findings on bankruptcy risk from the Zhang dissertation.
And finally, we look forward with some forward-thinking retirement strategies from Prudential.
It's a really powerful combination. We start by addressing what you can control internally, your behavior and your health.
And
then we shift to understanding the external forces you need to build that shield against.
let's start right at the foundation then. The habits we all fall into.
Mm-hmm.
We call this section identifying the financial monsters, but really they're just leaks in your system, right?
Exactly. And the Experian data emphasizes that simple recognition of these habits is the most crucial first step to getting your financial trajectory back on track.
So just knowing is half the battle.
It really is. These aren't indicators that you've, inherently failed with money. They are simply inefficiencies that accumulate, often silently, over years.
Okay.
The earlier we shine a light on them, the less cumulative damage they can possibly do.
Okay, let's unpack these one by one, and let's try to move logically from the small, immediate habits toward that bigger long-term strategy.
And let's focus on the solutions, the actionable stuff.
Absolutely, the solutions.
So, we'll start with the most immediate drain on your resources. Habit number 1, not spending wisely.
We all been there.
We have. This just means money is frittering away because you lack a clear overarching plan. That excess non-essential spending is actively eroding the funds you need for saving or paying down debt or even just essentials.
And the behavioral solutions here are fascinating. The first piece of advice is a little counterintuitive, but it's so effective. Avoid shopping with credit cards whenever possible.
Right. And why is that?
Because when you use physical cash or a debit card, you experience what researchers call the pain of paying.
The pain of paying. Cash feels like real money that's leaving your hands right now.
Exactly. That instantaneous feeling of loss is a powerful psychological stopgap.
Using a credit card, especially for all those little purchases, it just abstracts that loss. It makes the spending feel less real.
Until the bill arrives 30 days later.
And then it feels very real.
That's spot on. The other critical solution is the pause button.
The pause button.
Yeah, before making any kind of hefty, non-essential purchase, you just pause. Ask yourself, is this a need or is this a want?
What's the trade-off here?
Exactly. Does buying this today mean I have to put off saving for my emergency fund for, 2 more months?
And here's a solution everyone hates but absolutely needs to hear.
Oh, I think I know what's coming.
Resist sales.
Well,
Don't buy something just because it's 30% off. If you were going to buy it at full price, buying it at a discount doesn't save you money.
it costs you money you weren't planning on spending.
It costs you money. Only purchase items you genuinely need right now, regardless of the marketing push.
And slashing costs doesn't have to mean, eating ramen every single night.
No, of course not.
It means swapping expensive restaurant deliveries for more home-cooked meals, which is a huge saver.
We're just systematically canceling those streaming subscriptions or apps you haven't even touched in 6 months.
Those low friction points, when they're compounded, they are huge.
Moving from immediate spending to foundational security. Habit number 2. This is a major vulnerability.
Okay.
Not creating an emergency fund.
The classic.
This is the classic pitfall that turns a minor unexpected setback, a sudden medical bill, a car repair,
A pet needing surgery.
into a full-blown financial crisis. It forces you to use high-interest debt just to survive.
So how do we build this crucial buffer? The prescription has 4 steps.
Okay, let's hear them.
Step 1, open a separate, untouchable account.
That provides the psychological barrier, right? It's not part of your checking account.
So you can't accidentally spend it.
Right. Step 2,
Mm-hmm.
set a specific, ambitious goal. Financial experts generally recommend targeting 3 to 6 months of living expenses.
Not just your minimum bills, but actual expense.
Our actual expenses, including groceries and rent. Then step 3, put the process on autopilot.
Automation is key.
Set up an automatic transfer every single pay period, even if it's small. Automation is the key to consistency.
And step 4, the cardinal rule. This is a shield, not a slush fund.
Mm-hmm.
Only use it for a true financial emergency, and if you must tap into it.
Your number 1 priority is to replenish it as fast as you possibly can.
Exactly.
Now, let's move into managing debt. Habit number 3 takes us deep into the technical side of credit.
Okay.
Maxing out your credit card. This isn't about exceeding your limit. It's about your credit utilization rate.
Right. You might feel financially responsible if you're paying the minimum.
If you're using too much of your available credit, you are signaling high risk to lenders.
This is where we need to nail the technical detail. Your utilization rate is just the amount of credit you are using compared to the total credit available to you.
Yeah.
And using too high a percentage of that available limit makes you look desperate and overextended,
And that severely drags down your score.
which could cost you thousands in higher interest rates on mortgages or car loans down the line.
Here is the key metric you have to monitor. Ideally, your credit utilization rate should be under 30%.
Under 30%.
We cannot stress that enough. Lower is always better. I mean, the most secure borrowers aim for 10%.
Wow.
But 30% is the red line threshold. If your total available credit across all your cards is, say, $10,000,
Keep your balances at or below $3,000.
that is the number 1 actionable step you can take today to improve your credit score.
And that leads directly to habit number 4, carrying a balance.
Mm-hmm.
So many of us grew up believing that carrying a small balance actually helps your score.
It's a complete myth.
A total myth. Today, credit cards are structured so that paying only the minimum, especially on a large balance, barely touches the principal.
You're just paying interest.
You are primarily paying interest fees that prolong your debt indefinitely. You're turning a short-term purchase into a long-term liability.
That's why the foundational solution is to always pay more than the minimum due. But
what if you can't?
right, if you are in a situation where you absolutely must carry a balance, maybe due to an unexpected non-emergency expense, the research suggests 2 defensive maneuvers. First, prioritize paying down the card with the lowest annual percentage rate, the APR.
Okay, focus on the lowest APR.
Second, explore transferring that balance to an introductory 0% APR card. That buys you a critical interest-free window
Often 12 to 18 months.
to aggressively pay down that principal.
Okay, moving to the long game. Habit number 5 is overlooking future stability, not saving for the future.
This mistake impacts everything: delayed retirement, inability to afford major purchases like a home down payment,
And vulnerability to financial shock because you just lack invested assets.
and the crucial concept here, which we've talked about in previous docs, is compounding interest.
Right.
The longer you wait to start saving and investing, the less time your money has to grow itself exponentially.
So the solution is behavioral and quantitative.
Start small and automate. Even $25 a week, transferred automatically to an investment account, starts the clock ticking on compounding.
And critically, you have to maximize yields.
Which leads us directly to the logical progression of habit number 7, not maximizing savings accounts.
Right. If your savings are just sitting in a traditional brick-and-mortar account earning 0.01% interest,
You are effectively practicing a bad money habit.
you're allowing inflation to eat away at your purchasing power.
The fix is simple, and it's the easiest win in this entire section. Shop around for high-yield savings accounts, HYSAs, or certificates of deposit CDs.
They generate substantially more interest.
It's literally free money, and it grows your balance faster. To get that yield, these accounts are often online only, but they are FDIC insured, just like traditional banks.
And the difference in return can be hundreds of dollars a year just by moving your money.
Absolutely.
And finally, the ultimate organizational habit, number 6, which often underpins all the others.
Not sticking to or creating a budget.
Without a budget, you just don't understand how your money truly flows.
And that leads to the dreaded living paycheck to paycheck cycle, or running out of funds for essential bills unexpectedly.
The solution is flexibility, structure, and accountability.
Right. Find a budgeting plan that resonates with you.
Whether it's an app that auto-categorizes transactions, a detailed spreadsheet,
Or the physical constraints of cash stuffing, where you only spend the money you physically allocated.
right.
If one method fails after a month, just try another. Budgeting is a commitment, not a singular tool.
And remember the creative cuts we mentioned. If sticking to your budget means you are constantly fighting over cutting your favorite daily coffee,
Look for less painful cuts elsewhere.
exactly. Can you save $50 a month by switching car insurance providers? Or $30 by negotiating a better cell phone plan?
Find those larger structural savings first, so the small, pleasurable expenses don't feel like the enemy.
Okay, now we have to transition to the invisible cost of carrying these financial burdens.
Chronic financial stress.
This section, backed by the Immunize Nevada data, shows that financial instability is not just an emotional concern.
It's a profound physical and biological threat.
I think this is the most critical piece of knowledge we can offer today. People tend to compartmentalize money worries,
They assume they just have to tough it out.
Right. But the research clearly shows that financial instability leads directly to heightened worry, anxiety, chronic depression, and insomnia.
The evidence is just overwhelming. Look at economic downturns, like the 2008 global financial crisis.
Okay.
Studies from that period revealed sharp, measurable rises in depression and anxiety, specifically linked to foreclosures and accumulating debt.
So it's a direct correlation.
It is. This environment triggers sustained cycles of negative thinking, often leading to feelings of hopelessness and an inability to control one's future.
And this spirals into a dangerous biological feedback loop, doesn't it? It's rooted in the body's core stress response.
It all comes down to the constant presence of cortisol.
The fight-or-flight hormone.
Exactly. The human body is designed to release cortisol in short, intense bursts to help you escape immediate danger.
Right, like being chased by a predator.
But when you face prolonged financial strain, your body maintains these elevated cortisol levels 24/7.
And that chronic exposure leads to severe mental and emotional consequences.
We're talking emotional burnout, chronic irritability, and seriously impaired cognitive function,
Which makes it harder to make good financial decisions.
which just exacerbates the stress. It's a vicious cycle where the stress response actively undermines your ability to solve the problem causing the stress.
But the physical toll is truly shocking. Chronic, high cortisol levels actively weaken the immune system.
They do. Cortisol inhibits the production of essential immune cells, specifically lymphocytes, which are the body's primary defense against illness.
So what does that mean in real terms?
It means people under chronic financial stress get sick far more frequently and take much longer to recover.
You might think you just have a run of bad luck with colds.
But it could be your chronic stress response suppressing your defenses.
And long term, this prolonged immune suppression and chronic inflammation increases your risk of severe chronic conditions.
We are talking about elevated risks for hypertension, heart disease, and diabetes. The stress literally contributes to inflammation markers, like C-reactive protein, which damage arterial walls.
Wow. This isn't a new idea, though, is it?
No, it's a historical pattern. Researchers noted a chilling correlation during the Great Depression, where economic hardship coincided with an observable increase in diseases like tuberculosis.
So the connection between financial well-being and physical health is not abstract.
It is biological and it is measurable.
So if financial stress is a biological threat, mitigating it requires more than just making a budget.
Absolutely. It requires a comprehensive approach.
What does that look like?
The sources suggest building intentional coping mechanisms. physical activity, because exercise helps regulate cortisol and improves sleep.
And mindfulness or meditation to break those cycles of negative rumination.
Crucially, seeking financial counseling provides an actionable plan, which directly combats the learned helplessness that high stress creates.
And finally, accessing mental health support is not a sign of failure.
No, it is a proactive step toward building the resilience needed to reframe those negative thinking patterns and maintain your physical health.
Treat financial stress like the biological threat that it is.
That's the key.
We've spent a lot of time discussing the internal monsters, your habits, and the physiological cost of carrying debt. Now we have to address the external monsters, the threats in the lending world.
This is where we shift from what you control to what you need to defend against.
Right, because not all financial trouble stems from overspending. Sometimes the terms of the credit are the real systemic danger.
This analysis, drawn from the Coalition for Responsible Lending, shifts the focus dramatically from a denial of credit to the insidious terms of credit.
And the sheer scope of this problem is staggering.
U.S. borrowers lose an estimated $9.1 billion annually to predatory lending practices.
$9.1 billion. That number should just hit you like a punch.
And the most infuriating aspect is that, in large part, these practices are entirely legal under existing law.
So we have to understand the mechanisms to protect ourselves.
We do. We need to break down the specific, quantified components that make up that $9.1 billion annual loss. The coalition analysis focuses on three main categories. Let's start with the category that targets homeowners specifically. A, equity stripping.
Equity stripping is exactly what it sounds like, isn't it? It's using the mechanisms of a loan to slowly, or sometimes rapidly, steal the value you've built up in your home.
That's it. It occurs when lenders charge exorbitant fees, which are then routinely financed directly into the loan's principal amount.
These fees inflate your loan, increase your payments,
and are stripped directly from your home equity when you sell or refinance. The total estimated annual cost of equity stripping is a massive $4.2 billion.
$4.2 billion, affecting about 2.1 million families.
Across its various components.
Okay, let's detail the three incredibly costly mechanisms that drive this.
First, we have the highly deceptive practice of finance credit insurance, or SPCI.
And this single practice costs an estimated $2.1 billion and affects 500,000 families.
SPCI involves adding the total premiums for the life of the insurance policy, often 5 years of premiums, directly to the loan amount.
So the borrower then pays interest on this inflated amount for the life of the mortgage, potentially 15 to 30 years.
Think about that for a second. You are financing 5 years' worth of an insurance product over 30 years.
Paying interest on insurance you haven't even used yet.
Exactly. And when the borrower refinances or moves, the unused portion of those prepaid premiums is simply stripped directly from the home equity.
It's indefensible.
It is, and it's driven by incentives. The Coalition report notes that many major institutions have condemned the practice, yet lenders continue because they receive massive commissions, often 30%, upfront on the sale.
It's profit over borrower welfare. The second component is exorbitant upfront fees.
This costs $1.8 billion and affects 750,000 families annually.
And this category includes fees greater than 5% of the loan amount, or any fees charged when a refinancing transaction provides no net tangible benefit to the borrower.
And this latter practice is known as flipping.
Flipping?
Flipping is the cycle of repeatedly refinancing a loan just to generate new fees. The sources reveal truly egregious examples.
I remember reading this.
Such as one borrower who was pressured into 11 refinancing transactions in less than 4 years.
11 times.
This left the borrower with a massive mortgage where nearly half of the balance was just accumulated upfront fees. It completely destroyed any chance of building wealth.
And the targets are often the most vulnerable people.
They are. The source detailed cases of abusive lenders flipping Habitat for Humanity borrowers who had previously achieved 0% interest first mortgages through sweat equity
into high-interest subprime loans just to systematically strip that hard-earned equity away.
It's devastating.
Okay, what's the third mechanism?
Third are the subprime prepayment penalties, costing $2.3 billion and affecting 850,000 families.
These are often hidden deferred fees, right?
Exactly. Usually 4 to 5% of the loan balance that are triggered if the borrower pays off the loan principal early. They essentially lock borrowers into high-rate loans for up to 5 years.
So this mechanism is designed to prevent financial upward mobility.
That's right. If your credit score improves after a year or two, and you qualify for a much better prime conventional loan,
This penalty fee prevents you from refinancing. You are trapped.
you're trapped in the high-rate loan, paying excess interest, which dramatically hinders wealth accumulation.
And this practice carries a significant racial disparity.
It does. The research found that borrowers in predominantly African-American neighborhoods are estimated to be 5 times more likely to be subjected to these wealth-stripping penalties than those in white neighborhoods.
This actively prevents intergenerational wealth building in specific communities. That brings us to the second major category of predatory practices, the rate risk disparities.
This costs $2.9 billion and affects 600,000 families annually. And this is the practice of steering.
Steering, so charging borrowers a higher interest rate than their credit histories actually justify.
Precisely. The steering problem is widespread. Research, including analysis cited by Freddie Mac, suggested that up to half of all subprime borrowers might actually qualify for lower-cost prime conventional financing.
Maybe half.
Yet they are steered into subprime loans, often carrying an extra 1% interest rate that cannot be justified by their risk profile.
But the question is, why would a broker do this if the borrower qualifies for better terms?
The answer is financial incentive. Broker kickbacks, often known as yield spread premiums, or YSPs.
YSPs.
Brokers receive rebates from lenders for placing borrowers into loans with higher than justified interest rates. It is a clear economic conflict of interest.
It incentivizes the broker to harm the borrower financially for their own gain.
The HUD data from 2000 starkly illustrated this. High-cost subprime loans were found to be 5 times more common in black neighborhoods than in white neighborhoods,
Wow.
accounting for 51% of home loans in predominantly black areas compared with only 9% in white areas. This points to systemic steering.
Driven by the financial rewards of YSPs. Okay, the third category.
The third category is C, excessive foreclosures. This is the ultimate tragic outcome.
This involves lenders knowingly making loans without due regard for the borrower's actual ability to repay.
Resulting in foreclosure rates far higher than for prime mortgages, 2.6% versus 0.62% in one period analyzed.
And the direct financial loss to the homeowner is massive, losses ranging from $26,000 up to $73,000 per property.
But the impact ripples through the entire community.
Beyond the immediate loss, foreclosures reduce the equity held by neighboring homeowners.
Right, contributing to overall falling property values in the area. They also contribute to massive social costs, including increased crime and blight in areas with high vacancy.
And the coalition report acknowledged that these social externalities likely dwarf the quantified estimates of fee losses, but they're just too complex to put a precise dollar value on.
They are.
The takeaway from this section is pretty sobering. While we have to control our personal habits, we also have to be critically aware that the lending environment is often rigged against the consumer.
Knowledge of SBCI, YSPs, and prepayment penalties is the only way to defend yourself from these legal wealth transfers.
Having confronted bad habits and external predatory threats, let's pivot back to personal agency, the protective armor we can proactively build. We're now diving into the academic research that analyzed survey of consumer finances data, focusing specifically on bankruptcy risk factors. What actually provides resilience?
They're focused here on non-self-employed individuals. This group is typically reliant on a single income stream, making them incredibly vulnerable to sudden financial shocks.
A job loss, a medical crisis.
A negative income shock. The research identifies clear behavioral factors that distinguish the resilient from the vulnerable.
I love this first finding because it removes the pressure of having to know everything yourself. Let's talk about the power of asking for help.
It's the highest leverage action you can take. The findings are stunning. Non-self-employed individuals who do not seek services from a financial professional,
Whether it's an accountant, a lawyer, a certified financial planner,
are approximately 47.4% more likely to file for bankruptcy compared to those who do.
47%. That is not a small margin.
No.
It tells us that seeking external professional advice isn't a luxury. It's a profound protective factor. Why do you think that difference is so huge?
It reflects a proactive, engaged approach to finances. It means you're subjecting your budget and your structure to external objective scrutiny.
Right. They help you spot blind spots.
And maximize tax efficiency and, crucially, help you create a long-term plan, which we know reduces stress and increases confidence.
Let's move to the most basic protective factor, living within your means.
This is the bedrock of solvency. Individuals who manage their expenses to be less than their income are significantly less likely to file for bankruptcy compared to those who spend more.
It sounds so simple.
It sounds simple, but statistically, it is the most powerful fundamental defense against financial distress. If your outflows consistently exceed your inflows, no amount of financial literacy will save you.
The research also analyzed the interplay between debt and accumulated wealth. It seems counterintuitive, but higher net worth, even for those struggling, still acts as a buffer.
That's right. Predictably, higher debt levels increase the probability of filing. The data shows a 1% debt increase corresponds to a 6.64% rise in the probability of filing.
Okay.
But surprisingly, higher net worth actually reduces the risk, even within the population that eventually files for bankruptcy.
So any accumulated wealth, even small amounts in an investment account or retirement fund, provides flexibility and psychological resilience.
That's what it suggests.
To understand resilience, we have to first define the danger zone. The research developed a clear statistical definition of high bankruptcy risk.
Right.
What combination of factors pushes a household into that critical danger zone?
High risk is defined as having total assets smaller than total debt. So insolvency and experiencing late debt repayment for 60 days or longer.
So insolvency and liquidity stress, that combination is lethal.
It is.
And the type of debt you carry makes an enormous difference. We often just lump all debt together, but the research clearly separates unsecured versus secured debt.
This is critical. Unsecured debt, like credit card balances and student loans, significantly increases the odds of high bankruptcy risk.
In stark contrast.
Secured debts, like mortgages and car loans, are generally found to be protective or associated with reduced risk.
Wait, I have to challenge that point. You're saying taking on a large mortgage actually makes me safer financially.
I know it sounds counterintuitive.
It does, to anyone dealing with a massive monthly payment.
It's an excellent question, but the research points to a clear mechanism. Secured debt represents underlying, often appreciating assets, a home or a vehicle.
So they retain value and provide tangible collateral.
Exactly. They also require a level of financial vetting and responsibility that unsecured debt often does not. The homeowner is simply less likely to meet the definition of high risk because they have the asset backing the liability.
So higher mortgage balances were associated with a reduced risk.
Across almost all groups analyzed in the study, yes.
So it's not the debt itself, but the nature of the debt and the asset it represents. Now let's talk about unsecured debt tied to education, which presents the most acute danger.
This is one of the most powerful and, frankly, depressing findings. Student loan debt for individuals who did not complete their educational program presents the highest risk of all.
Wow.
Non-completers face markedly higher odds of being exposed to higher bankruptcy risk compared to both those who completed their degree and those who never took out loans.
That's the definition of a compounded challenge. You are saddled with the burden of debt without the corresponding increase in earning potential that a degree provides.
You lose on both sides of the equation.
Precisely.
And if you have that level of vulnerability, high unsecured debt, and then life throws you a curveball,
The risk escalates dramatically.
the research shows this experiencing a negative income shock, when your income is unexpectedly lower than a normal year, significantly increases the odds of high bankruptcy risk.
Especially when that shock is coupled with high unsecured debt exposure.
Exactly.
We also need to be sensitive to the measured pressures created by dependence. Are there demographic factors the research specifically flagged?
Yes. The presence of children under 21 in the household increases the odds of higher bankruptcy risk.
Which just highlights the substantial, measurable financial pressures. Childcare costs, healthcare, education planning that dependents create.
All of which must be accounted for in budgeting and planning.
We've established that seeking professional advice significantly reduces risk. But what about the less formal protective factors, like having a long-term mindset and self-assessed financial knowledge?
These are the protective heavy hitters that reinforce the shield. The research demonstrates that households with a financial planning horizon of 5 years or more are 46% less likely to be exposed to higher bankruptcy risk.
That long-term vision acts as armor because it changes your daily decision-making, right?
Absolutely. You're making choices today based on a goal 5 years from now, rather than just reacting to the end of the month.
And the effect is magnified for those who completed their education and carry student loans.
Showing a 78% reduction in risk. Planning allows them to manage that large, unsecured debt effectively, preventing it from spiraling into a high-risk scenario.
And finally, quantifying the power of knowledge itself. We often talk about financial literacy, but how much does confidence in that knowledge matter?
A lot. The self-assessment of financial knowledge correlates profoundly with reduced risk. Individuals with medium levels of self-assessed financial knowledge are 65.4% less likely to encounter high bankruptcy risk,
And those of high levels.
are 83.5% less likely.
Wow.
Higher income levels also strongly correlate with a lower risk profile. But this suggests that the confidence and ability to navigate financial decisions is a measurable, powerful defense mechanism independent of income level.
Knowledge is truly power here.
It really is.
Let's pull back and look at the final piece of the shield, the long game of retirement. Personal financial health doesn't exist in a vacuum.
No, it's shaped by systemic factors, especially the workplace.
And the reality is that the current system is forcing many employees to delay retirement significantly beyond their desired age due to inadequate savings or just financial anxiety.
And for employers, this is a critical issue. Facilitating timely retirement is a massive win-win.
How so?
Employees achieve financial security, and employers can manage their workforce effectively, control payroll costs, and open up promotion pathways for younger workers.
So what are the primary systemic drivers behind this widespread trend of delayed retirement?
The most significant structural change has been the monumental shift from defined benefit plans,
Yeah.
the traditional pension,
Right.
to defined contribution plans, like 401ks. The DD plan places the responsibility and risk on the employer,
The DC plan shifts nearly all of it onto the individual employee.
and data confirms this shift delays retirement. DC participants retire 1 to 2 years later, on average, than those still covered by DB plans.
And that delay is often unavoidable because the savings gap is enormous, which just confirms the initial financial anxiety we discussed.
It is profound. The data shows that 22% of baby boomers report having no savings for retirement whatsoever.
Wow. None.
And among those who do have savings, 40% have balances of less than $100,000.
And when you factor in increased longevity, those savings have to stretch decades further than they did for previous generations. And we cannot overlook the financial specter of healthcare inflation.
It's a massive headwind for retirees. Between 1985 and 2015, the purchasing power for Americans aged 62 or older eroded 5.5% faster than for other consumers.
And that erosion was predominantly driven by soaring healthcare spending.
Right. Seniors are forced to work longer simply to afford medical coverage or to buffer themselves against potential high costs in retirement.
This means the workforce is structurally aging.
Precisely. By 2020, 25% of the workforce was projected to be over 55, up sharply from 18% just a decade earlier.
And leadership knows this is happening.
Oh yeah, the awareness is high. 57% of surveyed finance executives believe a significant portion of their employees will have to delay retirement due to inadequate savings. The crisis is known.
So action is needed.
Action is needed.
So if this is a systemic problem, employers must implement systemic solutions. What proactive best practices can employers implement, as highlighted by Prudential, to help employees achieve financial security and retire on time?
Program design is paramount in DC plans. Employers should make it easy to succeed by adopting automatic enrollment and automatic escalation features.
These features encourage employees to start saving immediately and automatically increase their saving rate over time.
It makes positive financial behavior the effortless default.
The most significant quantitative finding involves guaranteed income products. This is where the mathematical magic happens.
This is a breakthrough solution. Incorporating guaranteed lifetime income products, such as annuities, directly into DC plans dramatically reduces the uncertainty associated with retirement income.
Okay.
The research suggests that offering these products reduces the level of assets required for a typical participant to retire at age 65 by a remarkable 36%.
36% reduction in required savings just by changing the product structure. That's huge. How does that mechanism work?
It works by addressing longevity risk through risk pooling. An individual trying to retire without a guaranteed income stream must be hyper-conservative.
Assuming they might live to be 100.
Right. They have to save enough to cover a 40-year retirement. An annuity, by contrast, pools the risk across many people.
So the assets of those who pass away earlier subsidize the income streams for those who live longer.
That efficiency dramatically reduces the total lump sum needed at retirement age.
The sources also recommend providing qualified default investment alternatives, or QDIAs.
Yes, QDIAs, typically target date funds, are pre-packaged diversified investments. They automatically adjust the risk profile of the investment mix as the participant gets closer to retirement.
And the surveyed executives confirmed that participants are more likely to make better investment decisions when presented with these ready-made, professionally managed options.
Rather than trying to construct a complex portfolio themselves.
Right. Beyond structural changes, targeted financial education has to focus on closing these existing gaps.
Absolutely. The education provided must be actionable. For example, 1 in 4 employees does not save enough to receive their full employer matching contribution.
Which means an estimated $24 billion is left on the table annually.
Pure free money that employees miss out on because they are unaware of the mechanism or just fail to contribute the minimum required amount.
So education needs to move beyond abstract information and drive concrete action.
It does. Providing personalized planning tools helps immensely. The study cited participants who used one company's retirement income calculator.
And they had an average contribution rate of 7.2% versus only 5.8% for non-users.
So having employees visualize their projected retirement outcome drives significant and measurable behavioral change.
And finally, protecting the savings they already have in place.
Employers must stress the importance of adequate protection during peak working years, specifically disability and life insurance.
Because if an employee faces an illness or injury and lacks sufficient protection,
They often resort to dipping into their DC savings prematurely. This derails their entire retirement plan.
protection in the present safeguards their future assets.
That's the key.
What an extensive and critical deep dive into financial resilience. We've moved through the behavioral pitfalls, the 7 habits, to understanding the severe biological consequences of chronic financial stress. We then dissected the massive, multi-billion-dollar systemic threats posed by predatory lenders, and finally detailed the defensive armor of long-term planning, informed debt structure, and employer-supported retirement solutions.
We covered how to fortify your system through automation and high-yield savings, how to recognize and resist external threats like equity stripping and steering,
And how to reinforce your long-term protection by seeking professional financial guidance and leveraging the protective layer of secured debt.
Exactly.
The most consistent thread throughout all the sources, from Experian to the Zhang dissertation, is that knowledge is the foundation of power.
Right.
Knowing your credit utilization rate, recognizing the systemic risk of the student loan non-completer, and understanding the sheer cost of your chronic stress. This is the foundation of your financial shield.
And that leads to our concluding thought, synthesizing the most powerful research finding from today.
Okay.
We saw clear evidence that subjective confidence in financial knowledge has a massive protective effect. It reduces high bankruptcy risk by over 83% for those who feel knowledgeable.
So this implies that the most powerful factor is not just what you know.
But the confidence you gain from translating that foundational knowledge into immediate practical action.
So here is the challenge we want to leave you with. Don't let this knowledge remain theoretical. Take one immediate, automated step based on today's discussion.
Set up that automatic transfer to a high-yield savings account, or finally research the cost of switching car insurance to find those creative cuts.
Act on the knowledge you gained.
Because financial mastery isn't about avoiding every shock life throws at you.
It's about building a robust, resilient system that can withstand the inevitable.
Well said.
We'll see you next time for The Deep Dive.